My biggest surprise, surprise, was how well Arkansas played Bama. And really not just how well they played them, but really had a chance to win that game. It blows me away and also surprises me that Treylon Burks, wide receiver for Arkansas Razorbacks, number 16, who I think had 8 catches for 160 and 2 touches. He had the highlight that was all over Twitter where he literally outran the entire Alabama secondary to the end zone. And he's a big dude. He's like 6'3" and a solid 225. In my opinion, and yes, it is a biased opinion, he's the best receiver, one of the best receivers in the country. I think you can put him on any team, including Ohio State, and he's the top 1 or 2 target. He's the number 1 or number 2 target. And he's not even a finalist for the Biletnikoff Award. And here's what bothers me about that. Right now, if you look at most draft, like mock draft projections, draft rankings for the 2022 NFL draft, if you look at the defensive backs, I want to say it's four of them. There's one from Georgia. There's one from LSU. There's one from Bama. And I think there's one from another SEC West team that is escaping me right now. Worst case, it's 3. He's played against 3 to 4 defenses that are featuring a top 10 projected defensive back, not top 10 overall, but I'm saying in the top 10 defensive backs for this draft class. And then that's just for this draft class. That's not including those underclassmen who aren't going to be draft eligible, but will probably be in the top 10. So it's not like he doesn't have a season, where if he was playing at SMU or if he was playing at Cincinnati or if he was playing at one of these other colleges where it's like week in and week out, he's playing against the best of the best and he's putting up massive numbers. He is by far Arkansas's best player, a team that has won diddly squat the last several years and is potentially on track to win 9 games this season for the first time in a decade. Without him, that does not happen. He plays through injury. He plays, whether it's his shoulder, his chest, his knee, like whatever it is, he's just a gamer. He's a player. And it really shocks me that he is not a finalist for the Biletnikoff Award. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest robberies in all of college football right now. And yes, I'm a Razorback. Yes, I'm biased. But I think if you objectively look at this and you look at the body of work he's put together this season and who he's done it against, try to make an argument he doesn't deserve to at least be a finalist over whoever else is up there. I don't even know who they are. I don't care, because I'm telling you right now, you can't make a better argument for all of them that he doesn't deserve a seat at that table. So, and then that leads right into my disappointment, which is the SEC officiating. Okay. It's just a joke. And it's the same thing every year. And it's not like it's a surprise. It's not like it's unexpected. It's just, I'm over it.
Right.
The Bama privilege, it's like they weren't even trying to hide it Saturday. I mean, they don't even care anymore. They're the SEC officials at this point, they're going to the bank. They're robbing the bank in broad daylight. They're not even wearing a mask, and they're just walking back. They don't even have a getaway car. They're walking to where they parked in the parking lot. I mean, they don't even care. Literally, there were several plays. And let me just say this. I'm not a big, excuse guy when we lose. I really don't. You can look at all my tweets. You can look at how I react to things. Like, at the end of the day, you lose, you lost the game. Like, I'm not a big blame the officials or blame what the other team did this or the other team was cheating. I mean, even when, and I only bring this up because I just, when I said that, you can go look at my Twitter, there was one thing I tweeted and I was just being funny. But a lot of Razorback fans were up in arms when Ole Miss kept faking their injuries the whole game against us to slow down our tempo. And yeah, that's annoying, but that's not why we lost the game, right? I mean, I didn't use that as an excuse, but I did put on Twitter when they were all dancing in the locker. I was like, wow, I'm surprised one of them didn't pull a calf muscle like they were all day during the game. But my point is, I don't make excuses. I don't blame officials. But there was 3 plays yesterday that were just, or Saturday, I'm sorry, that were just blatant. I mean, it was blatant. One of them was an intentional grounding where like it was one of those, it was a play action and a little kind of just drift route where it may have been Burks. Usually we'd run it with our tight end where they run across the formation. They kind of just drift out into the flat and you run your little, I don't know if it's an RPO or not, but you run your little play action and then you just dump it off over to him. Well, Jefferson got pressured, so he dumped it over to him, but like it fell like 3 to 5 yards short. I mean, it was obvious he's throwing it to the flats to Treylon Burks. He's right there. Intentional grounding. Ridiculous. Yeah. Dominic Johnson,
that was bad.
Running back, punches it in from the 1 yard line. I mean, his whole half of his body is in the end zone, and they still had to review it. I'm going, how do you not call that a touchdown? I mean, they spotted it at the 1. I'm going, what are they? And then the last one, and this one still really bothers me because this was the dagger that just ultimately decided the game was, and if anyone watched the game, and if you didn't, you probably saw it on social media possibly. It was the last touchdown that Bama scored. The receiver caught it, but was maintaining possession. And, I don't even know what a catch in football is anymore. I still think Des Bryant caught it. If you're a Cowboy Nation, you know what I'm talking about. So ever since then, I've just completely lost track of what a catch even is. But, you got to have possession and it can hit the ground. But as long as the ground doesn't help, as long as it doesn't move when it hits the ground, whatever the criteria is, I don't care. Even if that final touchdown, he maintained possession through the ball touching the ground, that's fine. However, he was out of bounds. He was in the back of the end zone when he maintained full possession. And that's what I didn't understand. No one was talking about. I'm going like, maybe Danielson did. Gary Danielson, he's so funny because the whole game he's like, what are these guys watching? And I'm thinking to myself, Gary, you've been doing this for how long now? How do you not know that this is Bama privilege at its finest? Excuse me, I'll put $1 in the jar for coughing. But anyways, all that to say, I'm over the whole SEC love affair with Saban, Bama, and this whole era that's been going on for the last decade, almost decade and a half.
2 decades.
I hope Georgia hangs 70 on them in the SEC championship, which now I'm to a point where I'm going, God, Bama's not going to win that game, are they? I mean, I'm having thoughts. I'm going there a little bit, but I'm thinking, man, Bama's not going to win that game. Surely they're not going to win that game. And I'm just ready for Saban to retire. Let Bama hire whoever it is, whether they try to go get Swinney or whatever it is. I'm just over it. But the thing is with the officials and officiating, and this is kind of the former like basketball coach, like basketball player in me. You don't expect like officials to get all the calls right. Okay. You can ask any basketball coach in America and say, what makes a good official? And they're not going to say, oh, when they make all the right calls, because nobody does that. What makes a good official is consistency, right? In basketball, it's just if that's not a foul on this end of the floor and it's not a foul on this end of the floor as a coach, like, or a player, like I'm not going to complain about it. Right. Whereas it's the same in football. Like if I'm calling, and it's a little bit different, but it's just a thing of like, let's just be consistent. And my point with that is any of those 3 plays that I just described, had the tables been turned and it been Bama's quarterback making that throw, or it been Bama's running back punching it in, or it been Arkansas's receiver making that catch, I guarantee you the call goes the other way.